opportunity with illegal mining, especially with the current price of gold on the international market at about $4,000 per ounce, has made it very attractive for people to go into it. There are only 5 regions in this country that don't have gold as a resource. And those regions, I mean, if you go, you can tell that they are not affected by the menace of mining. I mean, Volta region is called oxygen because the oxygen is so fresh when you go to Volta region. And the forests are there, very beautiful landscape, because there's no illegal mining taking place there. Unfortunately, for 11 of our regions, there are patches of gold in different parts of the region. And whole communities have become involved. And so it's a very complex and challenging fight. And my government's position is a commitment to the fight against it. But I just want you to understand the difficulty that is, involved in this fight. You saw recently some members of the anti-illegal mining task force went to communities to do their jobs, and they were brutally attacked by the whole community. I mean, the one that happened in Ahafo. I mean, but for good luck and, the intervention of God, I mean, those NAIMOS task force would have been killed because there were almost 700 people armed with sticks and stones. Remember what happened to Major Mahama? It was almost a similar incident. And that's not the only place. There have been several places. I'm just trying to explain to you how it has eaten into the fabric of our society. And so I said, no, we cannot have this impunity. And so after they retreated, another group of journalists were going to another community. The community attacked them, and so they had to retreat. In retreating, they had an accident. And so I told the security services, I said, you cannot allow communities to act with impunity. And so you go back there and arrest all those who were involved in those attacks so that we put back the authority of the state in those areas. And that's why they went back and made those arrests. We're still processing them and taking out those who were involved in the attacks. And we're going to let them face the full rigors of the law because we need to stamp the authority of the state on issues of security and crime. And so that's taking it apart. But one of the most important things is coordination. When we started the fight, the police were running their own task force. The military were running their own task force. Different groups, district chief executives were running their own task forces. Ministers will gather people and go and say, we're doing anti-galamsey task force. And there was a lot of extortion from people. They go and say, we're part of the anti-galamsey task force. And then it's all just to extort money from them. So we said, no, we have to do a proper coordination. And that's how come NAIMOS was created. And so now you have to take the mandate from NAIMOS before you go on an operation. And you let NAIMOS know what operation you're doing, which illegal, you do a reconnaissance, let's know which illegal miners you have identified, and then you go in there. And when you go in there, you go accompanied by the necessary security in order that you can achieve your purposes. And so I get the reports every day. Every day you find anti-galamsey, you find galamsey pits, people being arrested and all that. Another problem we have is so far, we've arrested more than 1,700 people. The courts to even process these people is a problem. So many of them we've been forced to grant them bail. And in some cases, when you go back to look for them, they've left the area. And so one of the things Cabinet did the last time was to pass the Public Tribunals Bill so that we'll push issues to do with illegal mining to the public tribunals because they would adjudicate faster and let justice be seen to be done. And as the tribunals have it, they have a judge and then they have 4 other members who either have a legal background or of a certain level of understanding of the law. And so if that comes, we would be able to process, these cases against illegal mining even quicker. There's another aspect to it. One of the main focuses has been to push the illegal miners out of the forest reserves. And so part of the focus has been the forest reserves, and then also mining on the water bodies. And so they are on the water bodies, they are seizing Shamfam machines, they are destroying them. We've said that any Shamfam machine they seize, they should destroy it so that it can be used again. And so that's another aspect of it. Then the next aspect, which the EPA just started, was to go to those who are providing the spare parts and the equipment to the illegal miners. Because if you're able to take a hold of that place, then they won't get the tools they need to go and do the illegal mining. We've always had mining in this country since our ancestors, but that was called artisanal mining. They went with a pickaxe and a shovel and a hoe and a pan and some water, and then they dug the gold and put it in the pan, and then they wash it, and then they pick the specks of gold. Illegal mining became a problem when excavators were introduced and the famous Shamfam machine was introduced, because the excavator can destroy a huge place in a few days. And apart from that, when it digs up the ore, the Shamfam machine washes it efficiently and extracts the gold quickly, so they can do it on a bigger scale. So the Shamfam machines have become one of the targets. And that's why we've gone and seized Shamfam machines. We made it illegal to sell them. And so we've seized them. And I'm sure that you'd have seen it in the news a few days ago. And so the fight is on strongly. If we want to put the security services in the gold mining areas, then we'll have to take the whole of the Ghana Police Service, the whole of the Ghana Army, and send them on the anti-galamsey fight. But that means that you won't have police guarding your houses and your banks and other things. And so while it is useful to send the security out, we must look at the areas that will affect the access to spare parts and machines and others. And that's why all the excavators that came to the port, we have taken them and sent them to the Shire Hills. Some are legitimate excavators imported by contractors to do road construction. If you're able to prove to us that it is for road construction, it is released. But all others have been confiscated and kept so that they don't end up on the mining sites. And so I think it's not an easy fight, but we're not going to give up. We're going to continue fighting. And aside from that, we've started, there are two more things that we have to do. One is alternative livelihoods. And so we've started a project to reclaim the mined out lands. We're doing a PPP with a private organization. And so far they've taken 1,000 hectares of land. And the video is there. They've started filling the holes. They are decontaminating the water. And once they have done that, they're going to plant fast-growing trees on the land. If the pilot is successful, which is 1,000 hectares, then we're going to expand it. We believe that about 30,000 hectares of land needs to be reclaimed. And so we're going to employ these same boys who are used in the galamsey to be the ones to plant the trees. And they will get a stipend every month for planting the trees, because unless you give them an alternative, they would end up in the galamsey sites again.